to the COVID-19 economic relief package. I'm both the imam at the White House with what this could mean for Americans hopeful for a stimulus check.
And we meet an elderly Kansas couple with an art collection that's become the hidden gem of Wichita. Despite rising COVID numbers, over 80 million Americans are planning to hit the road for the holidays.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The newly passed COVID relief package may be in jeopardy. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, the president says the latest bill does not provide enough money for the American people. President Trump suggested he may not sign the bipartisan bill that provides unemployment benefits and $600 stimulus checks to struggling Americans because he says it does not provide enough relief. Bafta Yimam reports from the White House.
And to send me a suitable bill, or else the next administration will have to deliver a COVID relief package.
In a surprise move, President Trump last night demanded Congress revise the $900 billion COVID relief legislation it recently passed.
I am asking Congress to amend this bill and increase the ridiculously low $600 to $2,000 or $4,000 for a couple.
It was mostly Republicans, not Democrats, who opposed higher stimulus payments. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi tweeted last night, "At last, the president has agreed to $2,000. Democrats are ready to bring this to the floor." But other lawmakers expressed concern. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham tweeted, "The COVID-19 package, while imperfect, will save jobs and lives." Democrat Mark Warner asked, "Does the president realize that unemployment benefits expire the day after Christmas?" Many struggling Americans say they will take what they can get.
600 is 600. It's better than not having anything at all.
The president didn't go so far as to threaten to veto the mammoth bill, and both houses passed the measure by large enough margins that they could override a veto if he does. President-elect Joe Biden called the bipartisan legislation a first step.
Like all compromises, it's far from perfect, but it does provide vital relief at a critical moment.
The president-elect formally introduces Connecticut's Education Commissioner Miguel Cardona as his nominee for Education Secretary today. Bafta Imam, CBS News, the White House.
A Parsons, Kansas family is seeking justice after a hit and run over the weekend. 18-year-old Andrew Scott was struck by an unknown vehicle on Southern Avenue near 35th Street around 2:30 a.m. Saturday morning. He managed to crawl into the ditch where he called for help for hours before he was discovered. He's now recovering at Freeman Hospital, but it will be a while before Andrew can walk again. His family is asking for financial help to cover medical expenses and praying the driver responsible steps forward.
This is a young man that was left laying to die, and he really did think that he was going to die. It is not something that anyone should ever have to face, especially not alone.
Police believe there could be people with knowledge of a suspect in this case. If you have any information regarding this case, please call the Parsons Police Department. For those who'd like to help Andrew's family, we've included a link to their GoFundMe page in this article on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, hold on to your hats. It may be warmer outside, but it sure is windy. Michael Hayslip joins us with the first look at the forecast.
Yeah, and as we tick by the afternoon hours, that warmth is going to slowly disappear. From the Freeman Health System sky camera, while we still sit at 54 degrees, you have to remember that's 5 degrees cooler than what we were pre-sunrise. So the cold front now sitting in. Now, we've got some updates here as far as our watches and warnings go. Everybody in tan, wind advisory until 6 p.m. But then as we shift out to the west, as Tanya alluded to, that is a red flag warning, meaning the possibility, if you're even thinking about it, don't do it. No burning a brush or anything like that, because our humidity is low and our winds barreling in at 30 miles per hour. We had some raindrops, albeit light ones, that have now pushed off to the southeastern portion of the 4 states. And so now we're just locked in with what's going to be a shifting wind that ushers in colder temperatures. As a matter of fact, look at the big change that we've had. 46 in Yates Center, 49 in Chanute. Compare that to the high 50s that we're still seeing in Cassville and Monette. And so gradually, we're going to stair step down throughout the night. As a matter of fact, By the time it's all said and done, we're talking about having temperatures way below freezing for Wednesday night into Christmas Eve morning. Always sounds confusing when I say that, but you know what I'm talking about. Now, Christmas Eve day, going to be a cool one. Christmas Day itself, going to be a cold one as well, but a whole lot of sunshine. So, kids got toys, they want to run around outside, not going to have any problems. Just a matter of putting a whole lot of layers on in the meantime. Coming up here in just a little bit, Tanya, we'll not only talk about our wind, but we'll find out who is going to have a white Christmas when I see you in a bit.
Oh, that sounds intriguing. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, despite soaring numbers of coronavirus infections and hospitalizations, an estimated 80 million Americans are expected to travel over the holidays. Mola Lenghi reports from New York Airport in New Jersey.
If you have travel plans right now, cancel those travel plans.
As New York Mayor Bill de Blasio pleaded with New Yorkers to stay home for Christmas.
Stay away from me.
Tensions boiled over in California over masking up during the holiday season.
300,000 people are dead!
Former Growing Pains star Kirk Cameron hosted a controversial mask-optional protest against the state's stay-at-home orders, with more than 100 people singing carols at a Los Angeles area mall.
There is immunity in community.
Southern California is no stranger to resistance to COVID restrictions. The LA County Sheriff's Office says it has made at least 235 arrests, busting underground parties in December alone. And Southern California is suffering from the fallout. ICUs across the region are at capacity, with hospitals scrambling for extra space. The University of California Irvine Medical Center is one of 3 facilities in Orange County building new mobile field hospitals to handle an influx of COVID patients.
We're exhausted. We're holding on.
Brad Spellberg is Chief Medical Officer at the LA County USC Medical Center.
What is the worst case scenario here?
Our fear is we end up looking like New York did, in April, when you are just systematically, completely overwhelmed.
It's like a bomb has been dropped on our home.
Teresa Perazzi knows the emotional toll COVID can take on a family all too well. Her 85-year-old parents, Jerry and Shirley, have been married for 57 years. They were both hospitalized with COVID this month, just days apart.
As I'm waving to my dad goodbye in the ambulance, I'm thinking this might be the last time I see him.
While the holiday travel season shows no signs of slowing down, the Department of Health and Human Services has announced a new deal with pharmaceutical giant Pfizer to secure 100 million additional doses of COVID vaccine. That's in addition to the 100 million Pfizer has already agreed to, bringing the country closer to the government's ultimate goal of vaccinating all Americans. Mola Lenghi, CBS News, Newark, New Jersey.
A Freeman Health System begins vaccinating healthcare workers on the front lines of the pandemic. The health system received 300 doses of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine and started distribution Tuesday afternoon. The health system is giving the vaccine to doctors, nurses, and other employees who have the most contact with patients and who are at the most risk. The vaccine is not mandatory, but in the first 30 minutes of distribution, Freeman had already vaccinated 45 employees. The Moderna vaccine, just like the Pfizer vaccine, requires a booster for full inoculation around 28 days after the first dose. The health system says the state has guaranteed they will receive those doses before boosters are due. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, we take you inside a hidden gem in Wichita, Kansas, where a pair of art collectors show off their love for each other and Kansas artists. And later, call them candy canes, call them peppermint crunch balls, call them what you want. Your guests won't be able to keep their hands out of the cookie jar when you bake up a batch of today's buttery minty sweets. A Wichita, Kansas couple has spent their life collecting and selling art, and they have quite the collection to show for it. Anna Ald introduces us to them and shows us what they call a hidden gem of Wichita.
From the outside, it's not much.
And we've been married for how many years now?
65 years.
65 years.
But inside is Mid-America Fine Arts, where nearly every inch of wall is covered.
Oh, we'll go through here. Another Kansan, 1941. Now next I want to show you, this is James Penny.
Don't tune out yet. Even if you don't like art, you'll like Les and Courtney Ruthven, the owners of the gallery.
Banker one day told me, says, Les, you're either going to have to stop buying art or you better start selling.
All mostly from Kansas artists.
And he's known as the corn painter.
But this isn't all they've done. Both worked as psychologists for years.
We both liked helping other people, but you do need something else. And this art gave it to us.
They've been collecting for years and have over 700 pieces of art. And if you try to ask which is their favorite.
Oh. That's, it may be that you have difficulty saying, well, what is your favorite child?
Even if it's not your thing, they say there is at least one thing anyone can learn.
You're learning about art, but you're learning about yourself.
And for them, it's not the money invested, rather the love and emotions behind them.
For life, you've got to find out, what is your thing?
And maybe through one of these pieces, someone else will figure out theirs.
Have to check that out. Well, still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
If you think candy canes are just for eating, wait until you see all the ways we can use them.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
As we prepare to roll out that red carpet for the holiday season, tell you what, every now and then you get that feeling that the cold front isn't going anywhere, and it's not going to stop at any time soon. Our weather almanac shows us our daily high already hit 60 degrees earlier this morning. That was pre-sunrise, and now we see our temperatures slowly begin to drop as we truly have a taste of winter in December upon us. Big difference between what we're seeing in the northwest, where the cold front began. 46 is in both Iowa and Yates Center. Chanute and Fredonia beginning to drop as well. Compare that to the high 50s that we're going to hold on to in southeast of our counties all the way until the afternoon hours. But remember, everything is going to sag from northwest to northeast, and that is thanks in part to this big shift in the winds, like dominoes dropping. And the wind, here's the interesting thing about it. Those wind advisories, those red flag warnings, just despite the fact that they shifted on us, boy, it just didn't slow down. We're talking about gusts of 33 miles per hour in Chanute, but now working in from the northwest, bringing us much cooler temperatures. Counties in tan, that indicates a wind advisory lasting until 6 o'clock tonight. And now we've upgraded for southeast Kansas. We're going to call those red flag warnings running all the way until 5. Please avoid any outdoor burning. Conditions are ripe for wildfires. And I know that sounds crazy to talk about that in late December, but in fact it is. As a matter, look at this. These are all wind advisories, warnings all throughout the Midwest, and then you've got winter storm warnings, but those stay up to the north of us. As we see the trough of the jet stream now digging down into south central Kansas, and that trough that gave us warm temperatures for the last 2 days, man, that thing pushed, and it pushed fast, already sitting on the Atlantic. But what we'll do is we'll take this precipitation for the rest of the day. We've got a dry air mass hanging over us. So as it moves from west to east, it's actually not going to be able to penetrate our system. What we did see, very light raindrops. I saw a couple sprinkles this morning. That's all it amounted to. Nothing severe by any means. Matter of fact, the only accumulation numbers that we have, about 1/10 of an inch so far. So as we progress through our day, everything moves out. This is snow we were talking about that's going to stay up to our north. We're not going to have any problem with that. Just kind of dissipates over us, but I tell you what, it is going to be a chilly Thursday morning. We're talking about wind chills that are easily going to be in the teens, and even as we get into Thursday afternoon, we remain in the 30s. So that's Christmas Eve day. Now, not too bad. I mean, it's going to be clear, it's going to be sunny, it's just going to be cold. Now, as far as who's going to see this white Christmas, it's, you know, it's one of those things where it's a whole lot of rain right here. It's going to be very frustrating for people in the Ohio and Tennessee River valleys because they're not going to see a whole lot of snow until you get on the backside of it. And that's going to be that wintry mix that they're not going to want to travel in. Remember, we're talking about the same portion of the country that was hit by that massive winter storm just a week and a half ago. For us, once again, I'd say I was just fighting this thing. For us, once again, we're talking about temperatures that are going to be cold yet Sunshine, kids got outdoor toys for Christmas. There's no problem, just coats and hats and mittens, and it's going to be great headed into the weekend. So
Yeah,
once again, this is the weather guy falling on the proverbial sword. I'm sorry I can't deliver a white Christmas, but I can promise you very good travel conditions.
That's good. That is very good, and that's what's important right now, keeping everybody safe.
That's right.
All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero. Double Purple Heart recipient Lance Corporal Lyle Fritchie in the U.S. Marines. A Sarcoxie, Missouri native fought in Vietnam from 1966 to 1967. Fritchie earned both Purple Hearts for wounds he received from hostile explosives while on patrol. To Lance Corporal Lyle Fritchie, we thank you, our four-state hero. Just in time for Christmas, Howard shows us a festive cookie recipe that you'll want to make year after year. We're making peppermint crunch balls in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
If I ask you, what is the one candy that reminds you of Christmas? Chances are pretty good that you'll say candy canes. Yup, these crook-shaped red and white peppermint sticks seem to be everywhere. I guess the thing that makes them so popular, besides being so festive, is that they're so versatile. For those of us looking to add a whimsical and budget-friendly touch to our Christmas trees, candy canes make the perfect ornaments. Looking to make fancy schmancy place card holders for your holiday table? Tie or glue 3 mini candy canes together like this, and your guests will be quite impressed. And when you serve hot cocoa with a chocolate-dipped marshmallow, decorated with colored sugar on the end of a candy cane, you'll turn ordinary hot chocolate into extraordinary. But my all-time favorite way to enjoy these is to roll a from-scratch cookie dough in crushed candy canes before baking them off. What we end up with is a cookie that just shouts holiday special. Between the buttery minty flavor on the inside and the crunchy peppermint candy coating on the outside, these are one tasty cookie. To get the recipe for our peppermint crunch balls, along with more of our candy cane creations, just go online. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a sweeter way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Here's a look at our four-state market prices.
Cold fronts upon us. Don't worry about precipitation. Just make sure you stay warm, especially when it comes to tomorrow, but sunshine for both Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Over to Dow with a look at what's coming up tonight at 5.
Yeah, at 5 this Christmas, a California family celebrating the greatest gift they can imagine, a healthy baby boy. But things might have turned out far differently had it not been for the incredible, selfless act of a stranger. We'll have their story. Plus, if you ever received a hospital bill with surprising charges, experts say it's not uncommon that there are questions you can ask about them. And a local bus driver who recently passed away has given us school bus send-offs. Join us, KOAM News at 5.
And thank you, Dow. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.